Welcome to the Project 820 podcast. Podcast disclaimer. The following podcast is just a couple guys riffing back and forth about nerdy stuff, current events, hot button topics, and everything in between. Everything is opinion-based, and sometimes facts will be incorrect and misinformed. No one knows everything, and we aren't always fact-checking while we record. Knowing this, be aware when commenting that a constructive correction is always welcome, but a harassing and aggressive retort will be laughed at and dismissed immediately. That's all. Enjoy the show. This is the Project 820 podcast. What do we do again?
Yeah. Hey, that's a good starting point. What do we do again?
We podcast.
Right, because that's where it ended.
Okay.
Anyway, today we have Micha with us.
Hey.
Who is smart, intelligent, and he's...
Credentials set.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what are your credentials right now?
I'm an anthropology student at St. Cloud State University and a barista downtown St. Cloud.
Yep.
Where at?
Cool. Central Perk. It's across from the Paramount. It's only about a year old.
Yeah, I know where that is. Yep.
Yeah. And it's, I've been there a couple times. It's pretty cool. I like it.
That's neat.
Yeah. So today, I was thinking, me and Micha were having a conversation a while back about free will and how, like, we might not actually have it, which just seems a little sad. But I'm going to let Micha take the wheel here because he's going to be much better at explaining it than I am.
All right.
So, go.
Well, basically, yeah, I don't believe that we have free will. I mean, it's pretty easy to demonstrate that we have at least limited free will with a simple thought experiment. I can challenge either one of you to take off your clothes and run around the building.
Okay, I'm...
Right now.
All right, here we go.
See, and you're not going to do it.
We were supposed to.
Naked yet?
Well, we were supposed to make everybody think that we did. You know.
Oh, is that what we're doing?
Yeah, we're trying to
We're not
prove
gonna
him
lie
wrong.
to people.
All right, continue.
Yeah, so no matter how many people I've challenged to do this, no one ever has, and no one ever will, because you can't. There are certain things you can't do. You can't take off your clothes and run through the town naked.
Sure.
And
That's more social norm, though, isn't it? Because in other countries, I mean, realistically, you go over to France, and you might be more likely to see that happen. Like, or maybe...
Is that all they do in France?
Yeah, it's just
around naked.
It's just tits and dicks, like, all over.
All right, but we should stop. So we're
that's part of the point. I mean, like at Burning Man, for example, you could totally run around naked and no one would, bat an eye. They might, whatever. But the point is that there are social constraints on your free will. There's also physical constraints. I mean, I can't will myself to fly through the air,
Sure.
But that one's easy. It's like, well, duh, we're humans, we can't fly.
Sure.
But the social one, that one kind of is like, wait, there are certain things that I can't do because it's a social norm. I mean, like, it's not that I won't do it. It's that I literally cannot do it. I can't take off my clothes and run through the town.
But I don't know if that's because if you wanted to, like if you really, really wanted to, and I mean, for instance, people who,
There's people who go streaking.
Well, yeah, I mean,
because they just decide this is what I'm gonna do, like,
right.
And then they do it.
So I don't know if a social norm defines that you don't have free will.
Well, those people will have their own constraints. I mean, the running through town naked is just one example that most people are unable to do. Like that the person who streaks might be unable to do something else. Like
brush their teeth.
Yeah.
I just refuse.
Streakers hate brushing their teeth.
Yeah.
I thought that was widely known.
Yeah. Huh. I suppose, yeah, but I mean, what defines what your social constraints are then, though? Like, because I guess I don't know where I'm going here.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's your environment. I mean, it's your upbringing.
But then why would some people not be defined by those social constraints, like the streaker, for instance?
Well, I mean, like you're also constrained not only by social constraints and physical constraints, but by biological constraints as well. Mm-hmm. There are certain things that I can't. I can't do a differential equation. I can't. I might be able to with some training, but I mean, there are people that are better at math than I am. With their brain structure. So genetics plays a part into it as well. your upbringing. So I mean, you were raised in a free spirit household. You know, you're totally cool with being naked, or you're raised in like a super strict household and you're rebelling. You know, so the point is that everybody's going to have their own specific social constraints.
Okay. And then you're saying that that's based on environmental and biological factors.
Yep, there's environmental factors, biological factors, physical factors.
So then you're saying that every single choice that we make is defined based on things outside of our body, and our minds are really more reacting than they are.
Well, that's another interesting point. They've done studies that at least for a small decision, whether to push the left button or the right button, your brain comes up with the idea 10 seconds before you actually decide. Your brain decides whether it's going to push the right button or the left button 10 full seconds before you decide which button you're going to push.
Like, so before you're consciously aware of the decision that you made. Huh. Yeah, I think I've heard that study before, where they were telling people to, they had them look at, it was just a spinning wheel with numbers on it, and they said, click your finger whenever you want, and then write down what number you clicked your finger at. Well, the brain would get ready for them to click their finger like a full 300 milliseconds prior to them being conscious of them clicking their finger.
Yeah, yep, and that's this experiment builds on that one, because that one, like, you know, you could argue that, well, your brain's just priming itself to move, you know, click the finger, whatever. But when you're choosing between right or left, then that's totally different sections of your brain.
Right.
And then like 300 milliseconds, yeah, you know, that's you know, an amount, but this is 10 seconds.
Right.
10 full seconds.
That's quite a bit of time. That's like your brain has pre-decided for you almost.
Yeah, and so I mean, like that doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, that's going to decide what clothes you put on in the morning. You know, that's just a simple, you know, like left or right decision.
Sure.
But I mean, that might decide, you know, whether you're going to choose the right or left bottle of Mountain Dew when you're reaching into the cooler, you know, like.
Sure.
But isn't that still considered free will, though? I mean.
Like, yeah, but I mean, if you're not consciously deciding it, if your brain is
still your brain, that's still you.
Right, but is it you?
Yeah, it's my brain. No one else has my brain.
That's true. But I mean, you're not consciously deciding it.
I feel like I am consciously deciding it. I'm just subconsciously deciding it first. Because it's not like those two things like end up like counteracting each other. They're the same thing. It's just one's a little slow. Like I'm just a little slower on the upkeep consciously.
I don't know, because, like, I had this theory, and Micah, you can rip it to pieces if you want. So, for instance, if you have two asteroids traveling in space, and you had all of the data about those two asteroids, so, like, what they're made of, the speed, you know, how they're spinning, all of that, and even more. So, like, data that we couldn't even fathom to have. If you had all that, and you had all the formulas to calculate everything out, you would be able to, with 100% accuracy, decide, you know, or calculate what parts of the rock would break off, where the two biggest parts of the rock would be afterwards. And so like, based on that model, if you had all of the data in the universe, you could calculate almost everything, correct?
Yep. No, I mean that's actually like that was a really valid theory. Like when physics was first starting to be discovered, you know, people like, you know, looked at Newtonian physics and they're like, man, you know, like if you know, some entity knew the direction of every atom and, you know, like everything that was going to happen, you could predict the future. You could predict exactly what everything is going to do.
Sure. Yeah.
You know all the information about the electrons, etc. But the problem is that you can't know. No entity can. You can't measure the speed and the position of an electron. Quantum fluctuations. I mean, like, you know, in the macro scale, in the real world scale, everything kind of tends to go along the way that it seems like it's going to. But in the quantum world, it doesn't. It's random. It's completely. It just pops in and out of existence.
Huh. So what you're saying is that if you rewound the universe somehow and then replayed it the exact same way, at a quantum level, it's impossible to replay it at the exact same way.
Yeah, actually, like Stephen Jay Gould, a biologist, he was a famous evolutionary biologist, said a few times famously that if you rewound the history of life on Earth, that life wouldn't end up the same way. Which I mean, is of course is like a thought experiment. We don't know,
Right.
But the point is, there's so many, like even in life, like on one planet, there's so many fluctuations, so many variations. Like if one animal had been hiding in a different place when the meteor hit, then
Right.
we'd have a different species.
Right. So, but does randomness at that low of a level actually affect the higher levels that much?
Yeah, physicists believe it. I mean, the quantum fluctuations, chaos theory. I mean, we can't predict weather even within beyond a few days because of chaos theory.
Interesting.
Well, because you think about, like, okay, if we rewound a day, and then replayed it, maybe a couple variables might be different, but like if you rewound 100 years or 1,000 years or like a million years or something, like then like we would be in a completely different world, because over time, like all those little small inconsistencies that are different this time around that you can't calculate and are just like completely just too small to do anything with, like
Right.
those could be infinitely different, and
So-
over time that's going to build up. So now we have webbed feet and we speak in clicks or something. I don't know.
Huh. So we're ducks.
So
Anyway.
what we've established here today, ducks.
Ducks, yes. Interesting. Yeah, because I've always thought that, like, free will can't exist because you could determine what people are going to do every time by putting them in the exact same position with the exact same state of brain, if that makes sense. But yeah, with quantum physics, then there's that randomness that kind of throws that theory out the window.
Yeah, and actually, like, also a new study just came out that shows that consciousness might be a result of quantum fluctuations in the brain.
Really?
Yeah, so that throws it even. I mean, like, then your actual consciousness is quantumly fluctuating.
So, can you explain that theory a little deeper?
I
or do you
can't.
not? Okay.
I just briefly read the
All
article.
right. Well, if you want to just, BS your way through it, that's kind of what we do here. All right.
I know some things about things. Good enough.
That's interesting. I'll have to look into that. All right. Well, should we talk about the celebrity photo scandal that's
God.
going on?
I'm sorry. I love the name. The Fappening.
Oh, God.
That is the coolest shit. Like whoever was sitting there that one day and it's just like, like I wonder if they were just like, this is it. To Twitter.
Yeah.
God, that was ridiculous.
I think, so did you hear there's and I heard this from my wife, there's an artist who is including some of those images in his gallery because he's trying to show, you read about this?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so he's trying to show, like, privacy in our internet age. What an asshole. Like there's no way that he asked the people if he could use those images.
No.
And those images were illegally obtained, so it should be illegal for him to try and publish them as, right?
I'm sure he's going to try and spin it as like free use, blah, 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 or
Yeah,
something. Even
but I
though-
mean, what a failed artist. I mean, if that's what you're doing to try to get attention, then you're just kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, do you have any...
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, on the one hand, I'm totally like, man, these photos should not be on display. I mean, these people obviously do not want these photos being looked at.
Right.
Like, that wasn't the point. But on the other hand, like, I don't know, I kind of admire that artistic, like, like, that's creative.
I don't know. Well, is it really creative, though? All he's doing is he's blowing up images.
Is he doing anything with them, or just
No,
like
he's just
taking
blowing
them and
up.
just
He's making them
putting them on
life-size.
canvas and just throwing them on a wall?
Yeah.
Well, that's the point. I mean, he's putting them in an art gallery. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's like taking this...
Yeah, but is he doing that because it's artistic, or is he doing that because he's failing and he wants to bring business in, and he knows that this is a scandal and any publicity is good publicity. So he
Probably
did that.
both.
Yeah, probably a bit
Yeah,
of
both.
both.
And I mean, I don't like that at all because like he's taking images of people and they had their privacy taken away from them. Because like, sure, Jennifer Lawrence definitely should have used a better password. However, there's no reason why, if she wanted to take naked pictures of herself and put them on her iCloud, she should have been able to.
Let's actually go
And
through
also-
like what actually happened
and,
first, because we
well-
haven't really explained that too.
And she deleted her photos off of her phone,
Yeah.
but they didn't
They were on
delete
iCloud.
from the backup.
So it was the 31st. It was the night of the 31st. There was on the internet a couple notorious, the dark side of the internet.
Sure.
The hacker
4chan.
known as 4chan.
The
The hacker
known
known
as
as 4chan. That Australian media is really on their game today.
Yeah.
So there was a ton of celebrity, I would say, risque images leaked. God, it was like, and then there were things going around saying there are hundreds of images and they're slowly going to be released over time and all this
Right.
different stuff. And more information's come out that like there's actually this group of guys who have been slowly hacking into people's iCloud accounts, which means essentially a lot of time it's like, I guessed your password right.
Yeah. Well, and do you know how they're doing it?
I know that some of it is just guessing passwords,
Well,
but
yeah,
I
but-
know there's
but,
some other stuff with it too.
So the Find My iPhone app
Yeah.
that Apple came out with, it doesn't have. So usually, when you try to sign into something and you're trying to guess what your password is because you haven't gone there for a long time.
Yeah.
Like after 3 times, it's like, hey, you got to type in this thing now because we don't know if you're a real person. And then after you do it like 10 times, it's like, hey, we're not going to let you log in for an hour.
Yeah.
And then if you keep doing it, it's like, hey, we deactivated the account and now you have to like use your email and tell us that everything's fine before we'll reactivate your account,
Yeah.
right? Didn't do any of that. It just let you keep guessing over and over and over again.
Really?
So what they did,
People just set up like randomized
well, they
like
just
things
set
and
up a
just-
script.
Yeah.
So what? There are these things out there where you can profile a person. So it asks you. Geez, I can't talk. It asks you a bunch of information about them, like what's their pet's name, what's their mother's maiden name, what's this, what's that, blah blah blah, and then it creates based on that profile like 10,000 passwords that they might use based on their information.
Yeah.
So, being a celebrity, all of your information is already out there.
Yeah. You can Google
So-
pretty much anyone's pet's names.
Right. And I mean,
stuff.
you could even use the internet to pull up like their most famous quotes and then take all that and throw that into the profiler too. And then it would build all these passwords, and then you take that and you put it into a script, which then hits the Find My iPhone app over and over and over again
Yep.
until you finally get their password. And then bam, you're in.
Yep.
And I would bet that's how they're doing it, because I know that Apple has, I think they've came out and said that they said that was an issue.
This is a shitty time for this to happen to Apple too, because they got the iPhone 6 now coming out, I think next month.
Yeah, and they were kind of boasting about security on it too.
Yeah, well, because they're pushing the whole like iCloud integration into everything now, and like their new OS for their iMacs are coming out too next
Yeah.
month, and they're pushing just this iCloud stuff, and now all this happens, and it's just like, I'm gonna pass.
Yeah. And there's I wouldn't be surprised if they timed it out this way on purpose
You think
to
so?
attack Apple.
It could be.
Well, because it's all Apple users.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't go after like their G Plus and all the other stuff, did they?
No, yeah, it was all iCloud.
Right. So I'm assuming they were going after Apple specifically to like mock them and say because it's 4chan. That's
What I've found hilarious is seeing all the different celebrities' reactions to things. Because you have certain people like Jennifer Lawrence who immediately came out and said, well, yeah, it's me, obviously.
Sure.
Like, I'm not going to be, like, obnoxious and like, no, it's not me, it's fake photoshopped. But she came out, but she also said that she was going to, with whatever kind of constraints with the law she can do, she's going to pursue it.
And she
stuff.
should.
Yeah, because, someone did invade her privacy, and
For
that's
sure,
illegal.
yeah.
So, it's funny seeing the different reactions, because, she owned up to it right away. And then, oh, God, what's her name? It's the girl who played...
Victoria Justice.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, Victoria, she came out and denied immediately, and was just like, "Yeah, no, it's not me, guys." Jeez, like obviously, and then everyone on Reddit and 4chan go on like, "All right, time to play detective." So I'm gonna match up this mole to this mole, and this topless photo of you with your shirt on the floor matches the shirt that you're wearing in this photo on Instagram, and all this different stuff. So I would say it's very likely to be her. There's like 30 different pictures of her up there too, and like, the girl who played, she was in Scott Pilgrim versus the World or whatever. The Ramona. God, I don't remember her. It's like Mary Elizabeth like Winstead or something. Okay. I don't remember, but she that might not be the right person. I don't remember the name. I remember I could see her face in that movie. Yeah, fact checking. But she came out and she admitted the photos that came out of her. She admitted they were her right away, but she basically said she's disgusted. Because these were pictures that she deleted from her phone 2 years ago. Yeah. She didn't even realize they were still up and stuff. So she's like, I hope you guys all, like you creepers all enjoy seeing these pictures I took from my husband like 2 years ago kind of thing.
And I mean, Apple should have, like, if it gets deleted off your phone, there should immediately be a pop-up that says, would you also like to delete this from iCloud?
Yeah.
And then you hit yes, because everybody hits yes to everything that comes up. That's why when you get onto like a virus place, it's like, are you sure you don't want to yes, not use, leave the page? And then you're like, I don't know what to hit. And they both say yes, no. And you're like, ah! So,
and you throw your computer out the window because you ruined it.
Yeah. And so,
yeah, Android does that. You know, like if you're deleting a picture off your phone, it says this is going to delete it everywhere. You know, 'cause
they make sure to clarify that.
Yeah, and I know there's this open source project that's pretty mature at this point called OwnCloud. And it allows you to set up your own cloud hosting system, and then you can disable like Google or Apple, and then use your own cloud, which is on your server at your house, so you know where all your data is all the time. And as soon as I set up my server, I'm going to do that, and I've got gigantic plans for my server, but...
the funniest reaction from a celebrity I've seen to this whole scandal. There was two that were I thought hilarious because there's a bunch that were leaked of Kaylee Cuoco as well, and her response was to then take a picture of her and her husband at the beach and put fake like blurring stuff over them and stuff, and saying like, yeah, fun day at the beach. Oh wait, did we forget something? Like just kind of making fun of the whole situation and stuff.
You know, and. Like, I can see why you do that, because you'd want to be like...
She wants to make light of it.
She wants to make light of it, and, like, yeah, for her, that's fine. But at the same time, you know, I don't think everyone should react that way. Well, because if you want to get pissed off about it, you should get pissed off about it.
It depends on the severity of stuff, too, I think, because certain celebrities are reacting differently because some of their stuff's a little more graphic than others. Like, Jennifer Lawrence's stuff is a little up there compared to, like, Kaylee Cuoco's, who's a lot more tame and stuff, and... I will say the thing that made me, I literally was like in a ball laughing. Becca Tobin, she was on Glee. She played bitchy cheerleader like 2.0 in like season 4 or something. I don't know. There was a bunch of her, and there was at least 3 or 4 pictures of her decorating Christmas tree, just ass naked. I don't know why, but so she just went on Twitter, and all she said was, "Merry Triple Xmas." Huh. That's it. And I was just like, good on you.
Yeah, but I don't...
Taking it like a champ.
I don't know. I'm about to make you feel bad, but I don't think you should look at those photos at all.
Well, I looked at them like when I found out it happened.
Well, because you're just...
I don't have them all in a flash drive in my pocket or anything.
But you're definitely... Like, everybody
who invasion of privacy.
Yeah, you're definitely invading somebody.
The people that are claiming it's rape are stupid shits. Because there are people coming out and they're saying, like, this is like raping those people. And I was like, no, it's not.
Well,
Have you been raped? You don't know.
I can see where they're coming from, though. Because it's like, it's such a huge invasion of privacy, and those images are going to be on the internet forever.
Yeah.
Like, her career is now going to be defined, like a lot of those women's career, especially Jennifer Lawrence, because she's kind of the main person that this has all been about. Like, her career is going to be defined by this from now on.
I wouldn't say that.
I don't know. Because, like, they'll always be, like...
Because there's always been this. I mean, this isn't the first time celebrity photos have leaked out, and the thing is, a lot of celebrities have had this happen to them and their careers. And okay, there are like Paris Hilton, who, I don't even know if you can call her a celebrity.
Yeah, she wasn't a celebrity
Yeah.
before the
Right.
sex tape. So.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was just
this-
like,
that-
that
that
kind
is
of
kinda
was the
true.
springboard. Like,
Yeah. But I don't know, like, just... I don't like that... I mean, these images were stolen against their will, and now they're being thrown around in the public like nothing. Like, like the images are nothing different. It's kind of along the lines of, like, have you ever heard of those, like, exgirlfriendpics.com websites where
yeah, it was a bunch of
women will send pictures of themselves to their boyfriends, and then they end up breaking up, and then the boyfriends will end up putting all the images on the internet?
It's like, you broke up with me and hurt my feelings, and now
Right.
you're on the internet forever.
And I mean, that's kind of equally as just shitty, because, like, you're kind of ruining someone's life just for your own enjoyment, and that's really wrong.
Yeah.
You know? But that's my viewpoint. Do you have anything to put in on that?
Well, I mean, like, I think one of the worst things about this is that I've heard a lot of people blaming the celebrities.
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
like
for
saying,
sure.
well, you know, they shouldn't have had it up on the iCloud. You know, it's their own fault. It's stupid. I'm like, well, as a few celebrities have come out and said, it's like iCloud is really kind of insidious. Like, you know,
Right.
it's like you don't. It's really difficult to turn it off. It's really difficult to turn it
Well,
off.
and then on top of that, too, like, oh, it's all going to go up in the iCloud. Like, that's such a shitty description of what actually is happening. So what the iCloud means is that all of your images are being backed up to a server that's in a server farm somewhere in Apple's server farm area. Okay? So your files are somewhere where some dude at Apple, if he needed to, could rifle through them real quick. Like, if they got a subpoena and they thought that you had some sort of, you know, child porn images or anything like that, they can go through your shit because it's on the iCloud. So the iCloud is really, honestly, it's a space where you don't want to put anything that you wouldn't be afraid of other people getting. However, I highly doubt that the celebrities, a lot of them, even knew that their stuff was getting backed up.
Right.
Because, like, Apple is just like, hey, let's back up everything. So if your phone dies, we can just bring it right back up to where it was before, which is fantastic. But it leads to things like this. And that's why they needed to, like, for backing stuff up, you need to explicitly let your users know, hey, this is being backed up. Hey, this isn't. Instead of just, I mean, and just a pop-up, just like every once in a while it says, hey, stuff is getting backed up, that you swipe away. No one's going to pay attention to that. Like, I don't know if that exists yet or not. But I mean, I think Apple needs to be better about telling their users what their system actually is and what it actually does. And people need to be more aware of that so that they can make, you know, better decisions. Not that I'm blaming celebrities at all, because, like, they didn't have the information needed in order, and they didn't even think that they needed to protect themselves.
that's
They
the thing
thought that
is,
it was safe.
Apple
you know?
pushes their security, and they say, like, you know, like this is a safe place to store this stuff and everything. I mean, again, yeah, it's the whole iCloud thing. I mean, even if you took the iCloud out of it and stuff, and like these people's phones themselves were hacked into or something,
Right.
you know, like it's still like this is a thing that Apple, like, you know, they've made like clear statements about how their security is great and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like not that much, you know, especially
Yeah.
because you had mentioned the whole thing about how you can go into the app and just keep trying over and over again to log into something.
Right,
I
right.
mean, there have been websites and programs like with the whole, you know, you get 3 tries and then you get stopped thing for years. Like,
right.
why
Yeah.
is Apple?
Well, no, that's common practice. Like,
well, that's the thing is it's common practice now, and Apple's like, nah.
right. Like, another common practice that I see just not used is people saving passwords in plain text on websites. So if you're ever at a website and they email you what your password is, delete your account, leave it, send them an email that says you're an idiot and I hate you. Unless they're resetting your password, because that means that they're saving it in the database in either plain text or they're encrypting it in a way that it can be decrypted, which is also dangerous. What you want to do when you save a password, this is getting a little technical, sorry, but what you want to do when you save a password is you send it through like a certain kind of formula that turns it into like 32 characters, right? And then when they send it through that formula again, when you're logging in, they just check they're called hashes. They check the hashes to see if they're the same, and that's how they know if you put the right password in. So that way, the company doesn't even know if it has, or the company doesn't even know what your password is, but they can still validate what your password is when you log in. And there are a lot of places out there that save it just plain text. And that's, so then if somebody got into the database, they'd have all of those passwords, which people do often. That's why you hear about all these leaks, like, all the time. Also, it's really, really, really important to have really secure passwords. The best way to do that is using something like a password manager program that saves all your passwords onto your computer, and then it uses a password to get to all your passwords, which is like password inception. But passwords in your password. Anyway, but the reason you want to do that is because there's a lot of companies that they do the one hash and that's it. And then what a hacker can do when he gets all those passwords is he can quickly hash things like password, test 123, ABC 123, and then he can find all those hashes and then find all the accounts that have those hashes as passwords, and then bam, he's into your account. And that's why you want to have really strong passwords.
What happened with the whole, because remember, it was a few months back, the whole like thing where Target got hacked into? And,
oh, yep.
Because I thought, wasn't that they actually managed to get like, because they got like PIN numbers too and everything of people's credit cards and all that?
Yeah,
like,
so what they did, Target actually had like its utilities system. So like, like air conditioning control, heating control, the refrigerator control, stuff like that. They had that computer hooked up to the internet, and it was also on the same LAN, so it was on the same network as their payment processor.
Mm-hmm.
And so somebody got into the utilities server, and then using, they were able to get onto the payment processor, and then through there they were able to get to a bunch of payment processors and steal a bunch of and the same thing just happened to Home Depot.
Oh, really?
Yep. So like these companies are not learning that like, hey, your payment processor should be on its own network entirely, and for the love of God, don't use XP. Because so many, I think I've seen XP on so many computers that have payment processors, and I want to scream at them.
Yeah. Because
XP is like the most insecure operating system out there right now, because it's still really popular, and it's totally 100% not supported by Microsoft anymore.
Yeah.
So they're not releasing updates for it. There are open bugs out there that are being very much exploited in the wild because there's no update for it. And putting a payment processor on that, why? Like, it's just so dumb. So, I mean, if you're feeling up to it, replace it with Linux, because that's always going to be updated, and it's free. And free doesn't necessarily mean bad, but yeah.
But no one's going to do that.
But no one's going to do that. Because like people, what ends up happening is a small tech company will come in, they'll set it up for you, and then you'll never want to touch it again. But you know what you're going to do a lot? You're going to check your email on that computer. You're going to check Facebook on that computer. You're going to browse the internet on that computer. You're going to download some sort of weird wallpaper that's an executable that's like 60 gigs. Yeah, that's good. And it's just because you're like, hey, a computer, let's use this. No, stop it. Another thing that's actually pretty safe is to use your phone's internet as your medium for transactions, especially when you're at a place like a convention or something like that. If you're selling things, don't use the internet that is at the convention, like the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Because that's just like, if I was a hacker, that's where I would go every day, is to conventions and just jump on the Wi-Fi and see what I could, see who I could exploit real quick.
Yeah.
Whereas if you use your phone, it's you and the tower, and that's it.
Yeah.
And so that's a much safer way to do transactions at conventions and stuff.
Because I have one of those little PayPal like nubs that you can plug into your phone, and then you can swipe credit cards through it and
Oh,
stuff.
nice.
So I've used that, and then you just it just works off your regular phone's network and
Right.
stuff,
And that is
for
actually
4G on there and everything.
That's pretty secure too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
PayPal's really careful with that stuff too, because there's like passwords on passwords, and like
Well, it should be.
if you have it
Payment
synced,
system.
and if you have it synced to like one phone, and then you get a new phone, there's like a whole process to get the app moved to
Right.
and everything. It's like crazy.
But that's good, because
Yeah,
you
no.
wouldn't want somebody, if somebody had your username and password, you wouldn't want them to be able to register their own thing and start,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if they're giving you money, sure.
Yeah. Feel free to give me cash. That's fine.
Interesting. All right. Well, hey, Micah, you define a topic now. You've been a little quiet over there.
Oh, I don't know. I'm just kind of
Laughing?
no.
Stop laughing.
We're not supposed to be funny. Jokes are great.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I don't know. I mean, like the whole Home Depot thing kind of reminded me of this. You know how there's all these credit cards with cashback rewards.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you spend a certain amount, you get 5% back, whatever.
Sure.
Do you know where that money comes from? Like
Us?
the cash that you're getting. Do you know where that money comes from?
No.
It does not come from the credit card company. It comes from the businesses that you're using that card at. So if you have
Really?
a cashback card and you go to, say, Central Perk, you swipe your card, they get charged an additional 35 cents fee.
Really?
What?
Yep. Yeah, so this huge credit card is like, oh, here's cash back. And they're basically just stealing it from the businesses.
Wow.
That's ridiculous.
And I'm sure they keep a percentage of that, too.
Yeah, almost certainly. You
Yeah.
know, like,
You get 5 cents to the...
yeah, we
know,
get the
to
other
the-
30. You
right,
know, like,
yeah.
I hate people.
Yeah, and I know that... that's why there's like a minimum payment in a lot of smaller stores.
Yeah.
For like,
Yeah, because it's not worth it. You know, when
Right.
when you're spending $2 and they're getting charged, 40 cents.
yeah,
it's like,
they're
well,
actually losing money.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't have credit cards here at the movie theater until a year and a half ago, I think.
Huh.
Because it wasn't worth it, because people would come in and they'd buy a thing of candy, and it's $3-4 or something, and
Right.
and they go to swipe their debit card or their credit card or something, and we get charged X amount for that from the credit cards and all that stuff, and it's just like, it's not worth it. There's an ATM in the corner, go use that.
That's why I really kind of hope that Bitcoin takes over.
I don't see it happening.
Really?
No.
Because, do you know much about Bitcoin?
I know the general premise. I mean, I don't know the technical aspects of
Okay.
it, but
So I'll just give a quick rundown. So Bitcoin is a virtual currency. There's no physical, paper money at all.
It's cloud money.
Sure. But it's a peer-to-peer system. So essentially how it works is when you set up a client, you're going to download every single Bitcoin transaction that has ever happened right away. And then its security is based on everybody having the same data.
Yeah.
And then there's something called... So then what it does to make that index of purchases is it uses Bitcoin mining servers, which you might have heard of. It's a way that people make Bitcoin is by mining it. And essentially what mining it means is it uses complex algorithms in order to sort out a block of 15 minutes of payments. And then it sorts it all out, decides which one goes where, and then it checks to see somehow if that's how it should be. And then all of the servers together in tandem figure out which one is the winner. And then whoever wins gets a certain amount of Bitcoin.
Like 0.001 of a Bitcoin
Sure,
or something.
yeah. And so now what's happened is people have come together in groups of servers. If someone in that group of server wins, then they split that one Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
They split that up amongst all of the people in the
Well,
group.
I was wondering too, because I knew the concept of the mining, and I kind of knew that the way that worked was, you want to be mining, and basically it's they're using your computer to do
Yeah.
something. I didn't realize it was to sort out Bitcoin stuff.
Yeah, and
I was like, yeah, we're actually trying to cure cancer, and there's like a billion algorithms we got to run.
And
so.
the thing with Bitcoin is that it's really expensive. Like as far as resources go,
Yeah.
like the peer-to-peer model is going to be expensive. The thing that's good about the peer-to-peer model is that the people own it then.
Yeah.
It's not owned by the government, the people own it. So that's a good thing about it, but as far as like expanding goes, it's not gonna grow very well, I feel.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna need more and more and more computers. However, there are a lot of people that are heavily invested, like companies that have been created simply mining. And at this point, to be like a small scale miner is worthless. Like you're really not going to get anything, because at this point, they're actually creating custom chips to mine Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So the chances that you are going to be the one who wins.
Well, now there's like companies that have just like a
is
cluster of a bazillion servers that just do that.
I know that there's a group that makes up 40% of the Bitcoin mining servers.
Oh wow.
And they're really afraid that like the community has told them that they have to stop letting people in, because if they got over 50%, they could define what happens.
Yeah.
So then they could say this transaction, and they could like filter money into themselves all the time.
Yeah.
And so like there are checks and balances that the system has to have in place in order to work correctly. But like there are people who are saying like, well, if you had a really big bot farm, you could take over the Bitcoin mining community and start flowing money towards you, like making every transaction say, oh, it's coming towards you, you know. The only thing about that is you'd have to have a lot.
Yeah.
Because there's so many out there now that a bot farm that big is pretty unlikely. However, the cool thing about the virtual currency of Bitcoin is that its value is really high. The last time I checked, it was somewhere around
like $600.
Yeah,
for
one
like
Bitcoin.
One Bitcoin or
was-
something.
yep.
Yeah.
And so Bitcoin is, I mean, you don't buy one Bitcoin. It's like, I have one Bitcoin. You buy, like, you can buy, like, 0.00025 Bitcoins. You know? And that's like $7. I don't know. And so you can do that. And it's just, it's also completely anonymous, because you have a key that defines, like, and so you put your key in, and then it says, oh, you have this much Bitcoin. So because you're using a key, it's not tied to a name or a user. It's just tied to this key that you keep totally secret, and nobody knows that it's you. And then so, you know, you could have 500 Bitcoin, and nobody would know that you have 500 Bitcoin. Everyone could see, look, there's this transaction for 500 Bitcoin and blah, 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 but they wouldn't be able to tell that it was you based on...
How do you cash out a Bitcoin?
I
know I've seen like kiosks and stuff.
Well, yeah, there are buyers. So there's companies out there who trade Bitcoin for
And they'll just give you money.
U.S. currency.
Okay.
And so you could give them, you know...
Give them your one Bitcoin.
And then they'd give
they
you...
send you $600.
Or you could give them $600, they give you a Bitcoin.
Yeah.
You know. So, yeah, there's that.
I read that there was an inherent limit on how much Bitcoin.
Yep. So after a while, because they don't want the currency to inflate, they're going to stop. There's a set number already of how much Bitcoin can be created from mining.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like not allowing people to get money from mining, like, what's the point at that? You know, at that stage, why would you mine if you're not getting anything out of it? Because the whole point is, in mining, you get a lot of money back, and every time you get a little bit less money.
Well, if this mining keeps going on and more mining is probably happening, you know, every day, you know, like, I mean, eventually the value of the Bitcoin's just going to go down because there's so many Bitcoins out there.
Yeah, but if more people come in, the value will go up. Because then it'll
like, over
create
time,
deflation because of people showing up.
Yeah, but I feel like that's not quite balanced. Like,
I don't know. And the value of Bitcoin isn't based on, like, okay, it's this much money for, it's like 1/5 of an American dollar or anything. It's not, it's based on how much people are willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
Just like U.S. currency is based on what we think the value of U.S. currency is. And like a lot of people are super afraid of virtual currency because they're like, I like to have real money. If you put money in the bank, you're dealing with virtual currency.
Yeah.
Like when you put your check in, they don't change the number and then take money out of one vault and put it into another. No, they just minus from this account and add to this account.
Yeah.
And that's it. You
Well,
know,
banks very rarely have like
physical money.
they very rarely have like all the money that like I mean
Well,
let's say if one bank had just like 10 accounts, obviously it's more than that, but and each account had $10,000 in there, it's like the bank's not going to have $100,000.
No.
They probably have $50,000 and
If
then
that.
they just shift stuff around when they need
the
to
bank,
and
the
things.
bank makes money by loaning money to people.
Yeah.
So as soon as you give them money, they turn around, they loan that to somebody else.
Yeah.
But I mean, when they loan money to somebody else, God, I don't even know how it works now with all virtual currency because like somehow they make their books work, but they're just making your account bigger.
I just wonder
and
if
then
like
expecting you to pay them back.
what would a bank do if, and obviously this wouldn't really happen, but like if all 10 people came in and all withdrew all their money like the same day?
They couldn't do it. That's
like,
why
they just there's no
well,
way.
because like during the Great Depression, there was a lot of people who like everyone was showing up trying to take their money out. And so the government literally started making up holidays so that they could close the bank.
Yeah.
So that people wouldn't try to take their money out. And you know, like banks loan out a lot of money.
Yeah.
And that's how they make money. And so they don't really have your money. They just have a little number in a computer that says, "Look, we have your money." And like if anything, Bitcoin is much more less virtual, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because there is a known amount of money in Bitcoin out there. There is not a known amount of money of U.S. dollars out there. That's not something we keep track of.
Well,
like, you might find that really hard to, but I mean, with the system we have in
very
place,
easy to believe.
banks loaning out money, people bringing in money, the Fed just, like, when the Fed creates money, they don't go to the printers and, like, start printing money. When they give a bank, like, $3 trillion, they just put $3 trillion in their bank account.
Yeah.
They just change one number and add a couple more zeros to
That's
it.
the thing is like if you know in the United States, if like according to all banks and all virtual anything that has to do with U.S. dollars, if according to all that it says that like total there's $5 trillion or something, there is not $5 trillion in paper money in the United States. There's no chance. Like there might be $1 trillion, but like a lot of it is just this, you know, like just someone went and just script and like freaking. Now you have $1 trillion. Like
Right.
it's not even real.
Right.
But, you know,
Whereas Bitcoin is based off of, there's a set amount of money out there. And all of the transaction, like every single transaction is accounted for all the time. And there's no fudging numbers, there's none of that because it has to be right.
Well, I didn't realize that if you do like if you have the program or whatever, like I didn't realize that you had the list of every transaction.
You have everything because it's a peer-to-peer network. There's no
Yeah.
central hub of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
The community is Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
And because they do it that way, there's no one who, like somebody in power, there is no one in power.
Yeah.
But if there was somebody in power, you know, like people in power right now are the banks, and they play with money like it's nothing. You know, especially, I mean, the Fed, they're just like controlling the gigantic tanker that is the United States economy, and they're like, let's see what $3 trillion does right there. All right, we'll see the change in 3 weeks. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
You know, and like, you can't do that in Bitcoin. Bitcoin, there is so many of them, and you can't just suddenly create more. They have to be created through mining, and at a certain point, it'll stop.
So what do you think it would take to get real integration into society? Because I mean, like I had on my Nexus phone, you know, my Google phone, like I've got Google Wallet.
Sure.
So you know, I can type in my PIN and then just hold it up to like certain credit card machines. You know, they have to have that symbol
Yep.
thing. And
Yeah.
Well, it's starting with the payment gateways. So when you shop online, what happens is you put in your credit card, and that data gets sent to a third party. That third party is like PayPal, Authorize.net, Stripe. These are all different payment gateways. That payment gateway then handles the transaction. And then they send a post back saying like, hey, all this worked out, blah, 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 everything's fine, keep going, okay? So then you paid for it, the website knows that you paid for it, and it saves in its own database, like, this is paid for, this is complete, send it out, okay? What has to happen, and what is already happening, like Stripe, and I know Stripe for sure, I won't say any others because I'm not sure, but Stripe, are starting to build an interface for Bitcoin transactions. And that's already happening. And it seems like it's just going to continue happening because Bitcoin really isn't losing much steam. And so with that starting to happen, I think in the future, all of your internet transactions will be done with Bitcoin because it's safer. It's more internet friendly in a way because everything is already virtual, so you can easily kind of plug things in and just bam, make it work. And so like, and it's anonymous as well.
I don't see it happening ever, honestly.
Really?
Because you're talking about having all currency and transactions on the internet being done through Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
So you're asking everyone to take what they consider to be real money, the US dollars and stuff, and transferring a portion of their real money over to internet money so that they can make purchases online. And people don't want to do that.
Yeah, but I mean, the tools that are going to be out there are going to make it so easy pretty soon.
Yeah, but I mean, like, there's like when you go on a website, to pay for something, you can pay just with your card, you can pay with PayPal, you can pay with Google Wallet, you can pay with Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, I agree. Like, I think that it would be too inconvenient to buy internet money.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, too,
even
that
PayPal has people that are just like, I don't want to get into that. I can just use my credit card kind of thing.
But here's the thing, too, is that using Bitcoin avoids transactional fees. And that's going to be huge for internet companies. So what's already happening is there is a system out there that you use U.S. currency, and then that hits a third party that takes the U.S. currency and converts it into Bitcoin. So it sells it. So it takes your money and buys the equivalent amount of Bitcoin. It then uses Bitcoin to make the transaction, and then on the other side, it takes that money and buys the U.S. dollar back. And the fees that it takes to do that weird action are less than the fees of most credit card companies.
Who pays those fees, though?
Well, so right now, the person who pays most of the credit card fees is the company itself, right? So you pay 5 cents for every dollar or something stupid like that. A lot of them are like, every transaction you'll pay 23 cents, right? And so this company is like, well, every transaction you'll pay 5 because we get to skip all that because we're just kind of going around this.
But we're still having to involve a third party to do this.
But either way, you're going to have to have a third party. If you do it with actual money, you still have the third party of Authorize.net or Stripe or PayPal, because processing your own transactions is it's too much.
Well, because let's say there's just X company or whatever, and their job, they have one thing that they do, and all it is when someone buys something online, they take US dollar, they put into Bitcoin, and then they put to company. Like, that's all they do. Like, that's their job kind of thing. But they need to get paid by someone, and if the company's paying for that, like, there's still fees involved with that. So it's like, so Bitcoin isn't technically like no fees. Like, there still has to be some in order for that service to get paid for.
Well, it would work the exact same way as like Stripe works now. Because right now, Stripe makes you pay a fee for every transaction.
Yeah.
But with the Bitcoin way, they would make you pay a fee, and then they would buy Bitcoin, do the transaction, return the Bitcoin back into money, put it into your account.
But with all the fees that you're going to have, because you're like, obviously there's fees right now just using credit
cards. But
cards.
I'm saying with that setup that they have, doing it that way on that massive scale like that,
the fees would be so much less.
It's much less, and that's why Bitcoin is going to end up. And then people will get used to that, and then after a while, people will get used to just using Bitcoin on the internet. And I think
maybe 40 years from now.
Yeah, but
like,
it'll happen.
I don't know.
Because like, the digital currency is such a nice idea, because when the American dollar, or when the economy starts looking bad, people will throw money into Bitcoin like they threw money into gold, during 2008.
People should just throw money back into gold.
Well, the thing is, I mean,
Gold is
even
great.
gold doesn't really have a value. It has a value because you believe it has
it's
a
shiny.
value. Yeah. And, I mean, Bitcoin is the exact same thing, but that's what people are going to throw their money into because it's not... I mean, if anything, it's going to deflate because a lot of people are going to get into it all at the same time. So if you buy early, you're going to have a lot more money. Because all of a sudden, you bought early, then then Bitcoin starts deflating because more people are getting into it. So there's less Bitcoin to go around. So the price goes up, and bam, you.
So the question now is, who's going to give us a Bitcoin?
A Bitcoin?
I'll take one. That's
Yeah, I would
$200
take
a
one.
piece.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, if any listener has Bitcoin and wants to give us a single Bitcoin.
Although we'd have to then get stuff to... Yeah, I'd have to.
Did you hear there was a guy who he had 700 Bitcoin
on a hard
on
drive.
a hard drive.
Yeah.
Lost it
And
in
he
a
threw
frickin'...
he threw it away.
Just rifling through a dump then.
Yeah.
Just like,
It's
where
worth it,
is
Oh
it?
yeah, because it would have came out to like $1 million.
Yeah,
or something
it's
like
just
that. It was
something
just
ridiculous.
insane.
Yeah.
Oh God, you'd be kicking yourself.
It's
And I know-
interesting. I was watching I don't remember. It was just like some kind of it was something on like the Travel Channel or the Food Network or something. It was just going over like food trucks in like New York or something. And like one of the things they actually stopped and like took a second to mention was the guy was like ringing up stuff like on the like they have like iPads now that they just use for their registers and then just like a little cash box kind of thing. But yeah, then the guy goes up and he's like, I'm going to go ahead and use like 1 Bitcoin today or something, or like I have like a third of a Bitcoin. I'm going to use it and get a bunch of crazy food. And so he'd go over to all these like food trucks and things like that. And he'd just pull up his phone and they'd be like, yep, we accept Bitcoin here. And they'd just go in and he'd say, yep, okay, here's my thing. I just sent it. And then it'd pop up on their screen like, okay, got it. No problem. Payment's done. Like, and it's like, so it's already being integrated into just like, regular go shop somewhere. You can pay with Bitcoin.
Yeah, and I think it will continue that way too, because the value of Bitcoin is that it doesn't have banks involved. And that's why people like it so much, is because banks have given themselves a really bad name because of the 2008 housing bubble, where they just lent money to anybody for any reason whatsoever because then they could get their commission and whatever,
Here's a question. Do you think there'll ever be a day where there won't be physical money? Where you think everything will be virtual?
It's pretty much already here. I mean, the fact we have cell phones on us right now.
Yeah.
And pretty much everybody has a smartphone. But what's going to end up happening is they're going to end up putting it's going to start with watches, which it already has. And then it'll probably go to just like normal bracelets with a computer on it. And then it'll probably go down to like rings with a computer on it. And essentially that ring will automatically connect to devices for you to like, so it'll like your ring will connect to the screen and then a display will pop up on the screen and you'll start typing into it and
Yeah.
Or you'll have like a little screen in your pocket all the time that you can pull out and your ring will automatically connect to it and then you can but you'll make payments with that. You'll be able to walk into a store, grab what you want and walk out, and it'll automatically charge you for everything you grabbed, and it'll automatically like ring everything up and all that. That's not really all that far away.
I feel like that might be a little bit farther away because like skipping the whole transaction like part.
Well, yeah,
like,
but
the
think about it.
kiosk
Like
thing
if
there and
everything had like a really simple chip in it, and then as you walk through, those things that are like, hey, you're stealing. If you could just walk through that and it would just be like, okay, I got it all.
Those things need some fucking refining if
Well,
that's
yeah.
going to be the plan.
But at some point, it will be
like,
that way.
Right now, you can go ahead and grab like a CD from wherever store and then just hold it above the things and then you get a CD.
That's true.
So obviously that needs like a lot of...
Well, and the thing that's really going to put a hole in my idea is bugs. Because have you ever tried to use one of those self-checkouts? They're always down. There's always like 3 of them down, and then it's like, please check your weight. And it's like, I put it on the fucking thing, just let it go. And
we were so mad the other day. We were at Walmart and we went through the self-checkout and the machine was either busted or it had run out of money because we needed like $2.
Yeah.
It was just like we put cash in and like it spit out our coins and it didn't spit out the cash and it said error and is like, so we're just like, crap, the thing must have run out of money. So one of the people that work there, like, because they always have someone assigned to the area to do like really fast troubleshooting to fix things if they need to. And usually the person doesn't know what they're doing. They just know put in a code and then just hit approve everything. And then it'll go through.
Yeah, because there was a couple times where me and Amy like accidentally put something on the other side that we hadn't checked out yet.
Yeah.
And we didn't realize it until later. And then the guy would just walk over, put it in his pad, and walk away.
Yeah.
It's like, you didn't even check anything. You just...
Like, so we ended up having this machine that just didn't have money anymore or something and was busted. So we talked to this lady, and she's looking at it, and she's putting in her code, and then it's like trying... She's basically just telling the machine to try again. She did it like 10 times. She actually came over and just sat and was like pushing the button over and over and over. Like, do you think that magically money's going to just happen in this machine? Like... So a manager finally called a manager over, and the manager said, well, you know what, just go ahead and just grab them $2 out of your register, and then so they can get going, and then we'll fix the machine. Mm-hmm. So we go over to the register. The thing is, just pulling money out of a register without a transaction happening is this whole ordeal. It's this big thing, and so we had to wait for another manager to come over and approve, even because she couldn't even get the thing open. Like, there's some places that just they have on the thing, like, open drawer, and stuff. But, like, at Walmart, just as for this one example, like, they don't, like, you cannot get in there without having some kind of a transaction take place.
Right.
So she's just sitting there just like... like that's the whole thing, and we're just sitting there like, this is 15 minutes, and we're waiting for $2 fucking.
Yeah, you should have been like, do you just have $2 on you?
Yeah, it's like I'm sure they'll pay you back. Like, a part of me was just like, it's $2 fucking. Just I'm gonna take this candy bar. Goodbye. Like,
yeah,
it's just it was such a stupid ordeal and stuff, and.
But then they would have had to ring you up. But actually, that would have been a transaction. So then they could have given you your money back.
True, I should have just gone over and been like, I'm going to buy this $1 thing.
But as soon as they tried to grab the extra $1, the little latch would come down and be like, no, that's
too
much change.
It's all automated now. Well, some of that stuff is automated now. Like, I know at McDonald's for sure, they don't even have a change thing anymore, really.
Oh, yeah. Well,
it actually
Subway
spits out stuff and puts it in a thing for you. And
Subway
you just grab the exact change.
Yeah, Subway does that, too.
It's just like...
Some Subways do.
It's like, do we not math anymore? Like, 66 cents. Nope, screw it. I can't.
7 quarters? Here's 7.
just take it.
He's just throwing change.
Oh, God. No, what's that thing that they're that it was kickstarted? It was is it called the coin? It's a black it looks like a credit card. But it's actually got a chip in there.
Yep.
And you can basically sync it to your phone and then input all your credit cards and all your reward cards and anything that's a plastic card.
It lasts for about...
Isn't it like 3 years or something?
Yeah. But when the battery dies, it's dead.
Yeah, you have to make sure. And you can't fix it.
No.
Because the thing is, it's like the iPhones are. Like, to save space... They build the battery like directly into the thing,
and then when your battery dies, you can't recharge it.
You need a new iPhone. It's like, yay, $600 more.
That actually sounds like Google Wallet.
Yeah,
you can just with my Google Wallet, I can add all my cards, all my reward cards, all my club membership things.
The nice thing about this coin thing is that it works in any slider.
Right.
Well, you can order a Google Wallet card too.
Can you?
Yeah, you can just get a card for
go.
free. Yep. And then it's just a card. Yeah.
That sounds cheaper too.
Is it a magnet strip that then it's like, hey, you need to look for this, or is it a magnet strip thing where you load it each time, or how does it work?
You add it into so you can the holiday cards, things that they give students. It's got a little barcode on it. You just take a picture of the barcode, it adds it in, and then you can either just hold your phone out and they can scan your phone. Or it'll just add it to the magnet strip, so they'll swipe it and with the card.
So would you let's say you have 2 credit cards on there or something, how would it know which credit card to use when you're doing a transaction? Do you just go on your phone and just say, hey, use this card for this?
That's I haven't gotten the card yet, so I don't know yet.
Because that'd be interesting to find out.
Because that's what I was wondering too. I was wondering if
I know on the
coin, swiper thing where
it does have little touch buttons, and you can actually scroll through what you're going to use. You get to the thing you want and then swipe.
Yeah. The thing is, my wallet is fantastic at destroying credit cards.
It's exceptional at
it. I don't know what it is about fake leather and credit cards, but they hate each other.
Eat it.
Because there's just little black marks it's a black strip, so there's little brown marks all over the black strip, and every once in a while they'll run it, and I'll be like, you just run it a couple more times. It'll find it. Don't worry. Yeah, but technology is cool.
I like technobabble.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Do we know of anything else that's cool?
Oh, the Nexus X is coming out soon.
Oh, yeah, what's new about the Nexus X?
Nexus X.
Nexus X.
It's got an X behind
Yeah.
it.
Well, it's supposed to be the Nexus 6, but the androids in Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep or Blade Runner was the movie were called the Nexus 6.
Oh.
So they might not be doing that.
They're just like, eh.
Yeah. The
We'll just jump to
murderous
10.
robots. Yeah.
That's not gonna sell.
I mean, it's got a 804 Snapdragon.
Actually, I think they should have named it that, and then the little Android dude that pops up when your screen is loading should have had like a knife with blood dripping on it.
The cell phone you don't get your children.
Yeah. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah. So it's definitely an upgrade from the Nexus 5. Like,
Are you gonna get it?
no, my
Okay.
Nexus 5 is only a year old, and it's a great phone. I mean,
Okay.
there's no reason to upgrade.
Because I was gonna be like, do you want to sell me your phone?
If you wanna.
Because I have a Nexus 3 GSNL LMNOP. So yeah, it's
It's
'cause
color.
it's definitely
and
smaller than.
that is almost phablet
It's
sized.
about- but I mean, that's really nice. It's got because that has pretty sharp corners on it, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I like that because it's kind of more like the iPhone that way, which is a little bit like, but like this one I have is very rounded and round is kind of out of style.
Yeah, it looks
Yeah.
it looks a little outdated.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I'm a total loser for carrying this thing around.
Well, because the iPhone, because the iPhone 6 is coming out now, and I have the 5S, but it's just like, and then they go on and they start talking about how, like, well, it's going to have this different processor that does blah, 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 and it's like the screen's going to be like 3 microns bigger this way and all these different things, and I'm just like, but there's nothing wrong with my phone now.
Yeah.
So, and the thing is, like, and the thing is that I will admit I'm kind of notorious for, cycling through phones. So it's kind of like,
Are you an iSheep, Victor?
no, this is my first iPhone, and I the thing is, it's a really good phone. Like
This
Like-
as you record this on your Apple laptop.
yeah, which is a really good laptop. Say something. Fuck you. Like, I'm sorry, this runs a lot better than my fucking HP like monster thing that overheats. Like,
Yeah, that thing is a beast.
mhm.
Yeah.
But like the iPhone 6 is coming out soon, and I'm just like, the thing is the phone I have now serves every purpose I needed to. It doesn't overheat. It hasn't slowed at all. The battery hasn't hasn't worked any less like efficiency than the day I got it.
Sure.
So it's just like, I mean, the thing is that if my phone starts to perform poorly or have issues, then I'll look into a new phone. But I'm not just gonna get the iPhone 6 because the iPhone 6 is out.
Right.
Like, I might end up getting a new phone by iPhone 7 or iPhone 6X or something. I don't know.
SXXMN.
Yeah.
LMNO.
LMNOP, yeah.
Yeah. Well, no P. That's ridiculous.
That's the stupid part. The thing that pissed me, the iPhones that came out, the 5C, and like, or was it?
Were those the
or was it
colored ones?
Yeah, those were was it the 5 or was it 4C?
Well, because weren't they trying to make it cheaper so that, like, weren't they targeting it? more
Well, they
towards,
didn't
like, other
actually lower
countries?
the price of the 5C. They just raised the price of the 5S.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The
'Cause you could
5C
get
is the same price.
You
as
could get the 5S, like, because it's $600 new still, like, I swear, and you can get that in like gold and
Wow.
silver and like slate black or something, and like, but yeah, the C ones are all like in lime green and blue
Huh.
and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
because I think I paid $4, or was it $350 for my phone?
Yeah,
I
I
ended up
paid
getting-
$350 for my
Yeah.
Nexus.
Because I got my 5S because I didn't get it when it first came out. It was like a year later, so I just used one of my 2-year renewal things and got it for $100.
Gotcha.
So it's just like, yeah, I'm okay with this.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then
'Cause-
I got this refurbished,
yeah.
Hmm.
and I think they told me it was new, but it was rooted. And so I was
That's
like,
not new. Yeah.
this is not new. It's
That's-
rooted.
Yeah.
So then I put Cyanogen mod on there because I didn't quite trust,
Uh-huh.
somebody else's rooted phone.
Did you see that Microsoft is interested in buying Cyanogen?
For real?
Yeah. Which is like a big deal because I mean that's like the biggest mod. I mean like if you're doing
Right.
something, off.
Is that even legal? Like,
Yeah. I mean they're just a company, like
huh? Damn, then they're going to start charging people for it, though.
Yeah,
know.
probably. Either that or they would just integrate it in, because like they came out with recently this Nokia phone that was like it was a forked Android phone, and then they got rid of it a year later.
They ate Nokia essentially.
Yeah.
Because like they hired Nokia, then they laid almost everybody off, and then they were just like, well, we own Nokia now.
Yeah, just like Google bought Motorola.
Let's sell bricks through Nokia.
Yeah.
Google bought Motorola, like took all their ideas and everything, and then sold them off again.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
You know, I wonder. Like, do you remember when Nokia was the phone to have?
Yeah.
Like when those things, because those things they'd take a beating.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure there's a Nokia at my parents' house, and a year ago I found it, and I turned it on and it worked.
Yeah.
It was just like, you've been sitting down here for like 6 years. How is the battery not totally dead? And it was like 30% charged, and I was like,
Oh, because
oh,
right
holy
off the
hell.
bat, the only phones were the only cell phones were like Nokia and like LG had some,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they had like the bigger, like more like the PDA kind of things that like now could sort of make phone calls, like
Right.
you know. But yeah, Nokia was definitely like, and then like then Motorola started coming out with the original like Razor and things like that, and
No. Weird stuff.
God, my brother, the other day he went online and he spent like $3 and he got a charge cord for a Zune. Why? And that's what I said. I was like, "What are you doing?"
Are you feeling nostalgic?
Yeah, and I was like, "You busted."
Does he even have a Zune, or
No,
is
he
he
does.
just like, check out this cord?
He actually he has a Zune. He's been using it consistently for years.
What?
And there's nothing wrong with it. It works fine. I actually have a Zune too that like there's nothing wrong with it and it works fine.
No, you don't.
No,
I
yeah,
bought it.
No, I have a different one.
You bought another Zune after I bought your Zune?
I did, yes. No,
Because what happened to that one was...
the screen cracked.
Well, yeah,
or
because
something.
the battery on those first ones tended to, when it heated up, it would expand.
Yeah.
And then so every once in a while, you would get the battery expanding to a point where it cracked the screen. So I bought I bought it from you because I was like, I can get by without a screen. I'll figure it out. I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
So then I bought a screen on Amazon for like $30 and then ripped it apart, put it in, worked fine.
Yeah.
I think I still have that thing.
Probably.
I should probably use it.
Because the thing is, it's a solid like just MP3 player. It's just
Yeah.
that all the support for it is
And it has an FM radio on
gone.
it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but he keeps all his music on there and stuff, and I just laughed and I was just like, because I asked, it's like, did you just feel like, were you bored and just decided to dust it out or something? And he's like, because his iPhone broke. So he has this, that's what he had been using for an MP3 player. So he's just like, all right, I got this Android thing now, and I'll just bust out the old Zune, and it's got all his music loaded on there, and it's like a 64 gig or
Right.
something.
Well, because they use the spinning. Well, it depends on which one it was.
No, he wanted the later models that had
okay.
the solid state in there.
Because the one that I have has a spinning
Yeah.
disc in it. I think it's like 80 gigs or something like
Yeah.
that. Because with spinning you can save more. Because those early solid states were pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he ended up getting one of those. I think him and I both have one of the last Zune models or something like
Before they quit making
before
them.
they quit making them. So,
Well,
and it's
'cause-
just funny because you look at that and it's like Microsoft hasn't like, I don't know, what are they good at?
Well, they're falling apart because
their phones
don't
they've been
have-
putting out phones that are just like,
yeah.
and then like their operating systems are just fucking stupendous.
Well, and Apple is slowly winning the fight because I mean Apple. The thing here though is Windows will almost always be used in office settings.
Yeah.
Because it's cheap, and that's what people like. If people actually were worried about, like, if people were more educated, they'd use Linux because Linux is free. but a lot of people have never heard of Linux, and a lot of people, when they hear, oh, the software is free, they think it's garbage, so they don't use it, which is dumb. Linux is awesome. Anyway,
Go
home.
Take your Linux
but-
gospel somewhere else.
But as far as people like home computing, I think if Mac's thing that it has going for it is it's amazing at marketing itself.
oh yeah, Apple is a marketing
Also,
genius.
their products are really, really good. However, they're super overpriced. And because they don't have like a cheap version of their stuff, there are some home users that will never buy it back. But I think if they were to come out with with like a cheaper end Mac, they could definitely sell to.
I mean, they have the Mac Mini, which is only
Yeah,
about $500. But
but
then you
like-
have to buy a display,
Right.
and, you know, it's just...
And I think something like a Mac Mini, especially older generations, are probably going to think that it's not going to be able to do what they want. You know, they're going to think, oh, that thing's tiny. I don't want to deal with that. You know, because like I built Amy's grandmother. I built her a computer, and I threw Linux on it, and she really can't tell the difference. Because the last time she used Windows was like 95 or 98.
So you're saying this is new Windows?
Yeah. And so I showed her a couple videos of what Windows looks like now, and she was like, that's confusing. I just want like a start menu. And I was like, all right, let's do some Linux then. And yeah, she's fine with it. She knows what she's doing. So
Well, like the whole thing with like the marketing stuff that Apple has too is just insanely, like it works amazingly, because I mean, yeah, everything with the Apple logo on it is more expensive than it probably should be.
Right. Yeah.
Like, and that goes across the board. It's
Well, it's
phones,
'cause-
computers, monitors, everything.
Yeah, and it's because
And-
it has that Apple logo on
Well,
it.
that's the thing. But like,
And it's
you look
shiny
at,
metal.
You look at the Zune. Look at the Zune, and like, I mean, at the time, the whole reason that Zune failed was because of the iPod. Like that's
Yeah,
it.
oh, for sure. Yeah.
Like the thing is if there was no iPod at the time, or like if let's say the roles were reversed and Microsoft put more marketing into their Zune or something, like then Zune would be the big thing now. You know, like because the thing is there was nothing wrong with it.
But no,
like,
but the thing is, Microsoft, it just seems to me that Microsoft is too, they're kind of worried about price. And so they're willing to cut corners, and they kind of show, like even if they didn't cut corners with the Zune. Let's say the Zune was like, they didn't cut any corners.
Where did they cut quarters with the Zune?
I'm saying they didn't.
Okay.
I don't really think they did. But that's kind of the image that their company has. Is
Okay.
like, we cut corners to make it cheaper for you. And with something like a Zune where you're trying to market that towards like kind of almost like, well, you're marketing it towards the younger generation, which is a lot more willing to spend money
Yeah.
on electronics because they want good electronics. Whereas the older generation is just, I want something that works, damn it, you know.
Yeah.
And so because their whole business is based on this idea of, you know, let's cut corners to save money, I think that's what kind of hurt them. And so really what they should have done with Zune is made like a sister company and then tried to distance it from Microsoft and then make Zune.
Yeah.
Because then they would have been away from, like, Microsoft, I feel, is trying to make too many products all under the same name. And so it's just kind of jumbled.
Yeah.
Whereas when you break it apart into different sections, and then you're like, these people are working on this, and it's their own company, then, I don't know, I think they could have come off as being, like, cooler than Apple because all they do is make this, you know.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, that boils down, the whole thing there is just marketing.
Right.
That's what it boils down to. And
Yeah.
that they didn't market properly and all that stuff.
Right. And I think another strong part of Apple's marketing is that they really don't have a large product selection.
Yeah.
Like
When you're confronted with too many choices, and you're like, well, you know, which one do I want? You know,
Right.
I want the apple, the blueberry, the grape, the
Yeah.
peach. You know,
right, yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Apple's just like, well, we have these 2 laptops, we have these 2 desktops, we have those are your choices.
Right.
Take it
yeah.
or leave it.
Yep. And I think a lot of, like, for me, I'm a person who, I don't like that. I like to have choice. That's why, I keep going back to this, but that's why I like Linux, is because there's a lot of choice, and it's pretty
Well, because when you're talking
overwhelming to a lot of
when
people,
you're talking
but-
about hardware and stuff, like for the average user, you know, who just like, you know, let's say they like, you know, like for me, like I like MacBooks because like they run well, you know, there's not a lot of maintenance on them. Like I've never had an issue with mine,
Sure.
kind of thing and stuff. And if you're the average user who goes online and you're like, I'd like to buy a MacBook, and they go up, well, there's this one that's $1,300 and there's this one that's $1,500. And the thing is, if you have the money for that, you know, and like you'll look and be like, well, this one has a faster this and this one has more of this. You know, and then you just decide, you know, based on, you know, funds and all that stuff.
Right.
But like for someone who like, because for me, I actually went on and like I went into their like custom building thing and like said like I want to make sure the computer has at least this much RAM,
Sure.
this processor as opposed to these two kind of thing. So like, So even Apple still has that like custom.
They do have
Yeah,
Yeah.
my laptop is like because my laptop ended up being about $3,000 because granted a laptop that was I don't know because the thing is a PC laptop I don't think would run as well honestly with what's inside of my Mac because it's got like I don't know it's got like it's got 16 gigs of RAM and like
Well, if you ran Linux.
then it would run the same because the freaking Mac OS is Linux based.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
It's
Unix
Unix
based.
based.
Or yeah, it's Unix based. Sorry.
And it's a lot. It's a whole lot different. I could go into it, but I won't.
I'd probably kick you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, like, I really like Apple. I used to be an Apple apostle, I have an iPad 2, which is starting to, speaking of devices, kind of updating the iPad 2 is kind of starting to show its age. It's
Sure.
starting to-
And, and two, I have an iPad as well. And it's nice. Like, they make really good products. Although I bought my iPad from a coworker, just super cheap. Because he updated to the iPad Air,
Yeah.
and then he sold me his for like, I can't remember. I probably don't want to say. Really cheap. I got a really good deal. But I'm sorry, I cut you
Oh, yeah,
off.
and then I've got, like, an iMac, which runs great. I mean, like, it's a gorgeous machine.
How old is that?
It's mid-2011.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's 3 years old, and I've never had any slightest
mine's
bit of
about
a
the same.
problem.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing with OS X, too, is that it's being developed for a small range of hardware.
Right.
Like, Windows is being developed for a whole lot of hardware, and that's makes it a little clunkier. Whereas, Apple can take full advantage of all of their hardware because they know exactly what's going into it. And because they are the manufacturers from the very beginning to the very end, that's why you're getting such a really nice and, long-term system.
Yeah. My problem though is I do a lot of gaming, and so I mean like I've almost am never I have it partitioned now, so I have OS 10 on one partition and Windows 7 on the other.
Yeah.
Sure.
And
How
I'm-
does Windows run on it?
Great. I mean like I'm always on the Windows partition now because I'm always playing video games.
Sure,
It's like
Because I end up having because I have like my Windows 7 desktop set up to like next to my iMac, like just two separate like machines, and like I have my iMac I use pretty much exclusively for design work and video editing and stuff, just because I have like the Adobe suite and everything. And then my PC is pretty much exclusively for like gaming, recording like games for YouTube and things like that, and like your Minecraft and your WoW
Sure.
and your World of Tanks and all that crap. So.
Yeah, I don't really. So I had a gaming PC that I put Windows 7 on, I think. And I recently took the hard drive out and I'm putting it into my server. So I have a desktop just kind of empty. Yeah, and I've been thinking I should buy a solid state hard drive, throw it in there.
Just like grab like a 256 or something.
Not
Just-
even that big.
not even.
Like a 128 maybe. And then dual partition it. Or actually I would just put Windows on there only. And then buy 3.0 USB drive. That's like 64 gigs. And then put Puppy Linux on there. And then just run it from memory. Because I have like 16 gigs of RAM in my computer. So I could easily load the Linux kernel into memory and run it out of memory, which would make it just blazing fast because everything's pulling out of memory. So it'd be even faster than my solid state Windows. Yeah, and then because the reason I pulled I had a 1 terabyte hard drive in the desktop, and I pulled it out because I'm trying to build a server and I'm being really slow about it. I suppose I'll do that today. And I'm using all sorts of tools so that I have two 500 gig hard drives and then a 1 terabyte. And what I want to do is I want to stripe the data across the two 500s. And what that means is when you save a file, it'll save half of it on one hard drive and the other half on the other hard drive. So then when you read off of that hard drive, it's going to be really fast because you're going to be reading off of 2 hard drives.
Yeah.
And then I want that data to be mirrored then, so then an exact copy onto the 1 terabyte, so that if any of my drives fail, I still have all my data. And so that's how I want to set up my server. I'm just being really slow about it.
Yeah.
And then it would be a file server with that own cloud on it, which I talked about earlier, and I know probably a couple other things for my coding development stuff. But that's a ways away.
Yeah.
But I suppose we're
Did
probably,
you?
yeah.
We're getting there. We got 10 minutes.
Okay.
Gosh, there was.
Are you okay? Okay.
There's was it PAX that was just this last week? I think PAX East or something. Did you see the new 3DS that they're pushing now?
Mm-mm.
It's out in Japan, and there isn't a release date for the American version yet. But it's just, I don't know. This is either like a genius marketing ploy, or these guys are just idiots. Because there's the new 3DS. That's what they're calling it right now. It's just the new 3DS. And basically what it is just a regular 3DS, but they added 2 more trigger buttons on top. So now you have like your R and L, and then you have your like RZ and your LZ or something. So there's 4 buttons on top now. And then they added, you remember on the GameCube controllers, they had the yellow C stick.
Yep.
They added a little, I've heard it called nipple many times. It's essentially this little C stick nipple, like right up on the right side, like right above your 4 main buttons and stuff. And then they like color coded like the X, Y, A, B or something, and like the screen is like, again, the 3 microns bigger and stuff like that. And then they have a regular version and an XL version, which is like huge and stuff.
It's like a tablet.
Kind of. And the thing that's pissing people off is it's not just, because they've done like 3DS, a couple 3DS upgrades throughout, and then like they pushed the 2DS for a little while.
Yeah.
Which I think is still I think that's a really smart move to have the 3D not be an option. It's a cheaper option and stuff, but you can still play all the 3DS games.
Yeah.
So I think that was actually pretty smart. But the issue people are having now is the new 3DS. The 3DS isn't that old, and all of a sudden this isn't just like pushing an upgraded version of this, because there are games now that are going to be exclusive to the new 3DS.
And how old is the 3D?
Freaking 4 years, maybe
5.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah,
But that's pretty
it's a
old.
new
but the
generation.
thing is they keep refreshing it, they keep updating it and stuff, and they keep patching it, and they keep like doing software updates and stuff. So it's like, and the fact that they just keep releasing like the newer models, because they've had the 3DS i and the 3DS XL and all these different things and stuff. So it's not like your Xbox 360 that comes out and then stop it.
Okay.
But it's not like it's not like the 360, which came out with like after a while they were just like, oh yeah, we put out a console that's kind of bad, so we're gonna go in and fix all this stuff and upgrade all these different things so it doesn't fail all the time and stuff.
Right.
But like the issue is, and what I'm seeing, and again this is the difference between this either being really stupid or genius, is the fact that now the new 3DS is essentially identical to the Wii U's gamepad. So what people are thinking is what they're going to do is once the new 3DS launches in the US, it's probably, they might already start doing this over in Japan. They're going to start offering the Wii U without the gamepad in there for a much cheaper price. Like send out the Wii U for, as opposed to $300 to $200 or something, and then you can just use your new 3DS as the gamepad.
Sure.
And then start offering games, and then make it so all the games don't have to have the gamepad, but it definitely benefits it. Like you can play, the thing is you can play any game on the Wii U without the gamepad now, as is. It's not like a necessity, but like for a lot of the heavier multiplayer stuff, it helps. What's what?
The gamepad.
Exactly. It's literally,
there's like the
there's
wand
the
still.
Wiimote.
there's
but
the
then
nunchuck and all that stuff, like
Right.
and all that stuff works with the Wii U. That hasn't even changed with I think they made like the gyroscopes and the
Wii U.
accelerometers in there like a little more advanced, but they're the same controllers basically. The gamepad is actually literally like, imagine an oversized like PS Vita. Like that's essentially what it is. It's just this.
What?
It's like a tablet with
controls
with controllers on the side. I mean,
yeah,
okay.
that's all it is. So like, I mean, you've seen like the Game Boy. You remember the Game Boy Advance, like the original one, like just big.
Oh, okay.
Just big.
Oh.
So and they integrate that into a bunch of games, and it's a touchpad too and everything, so you can do all these different things.
Oh,
and stuff,
yeah, and that would add a lot of extra.
Yeah. So and the thing is it's something that the Nintendo's doing that's very unique and all this different stuff,
But, I mean,
but it hasn't caught. They're not doing well.
I mean, that's too expensive. Like,
well, that's the
you want one central unit of mirror, and then a couple tiny controllers that you can hide somewhere. You know, you don't want a giant tablet that has to connect to that, because it's like, well, that's a pain in the ass.
Because the issue is, again, is like you can run any of the games without the tablet if you want.
Well, then what's the point of the screen on the tablet?
Well, because then you can just like, if somebody wants to watch TV, you can just switch it over and you can keep playing on your.
Yeah, that was one of the
you
nice
can
things
keep
too.
playing the Wii
Or
U
vice-
games
Yeah.
mobily. You know, like.
That's interesting. And then is it wireless?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But now again, with this new 3DS thing, ideally they'll be able to sell the Wii U now without the pad if you want for $200. So that'll open up that like tremendously, you know, just price-wise. So you can go buy your Wii U, you can get all the games you want and everything, and if you happen to have the new 3DS, then you can use that as your gamepad if you want, or you know, or you don't. But again, you don't need to use it if you don't want to, kind of thing. Like, and even like I have a Wii, like the original, like I think I got one of the black ones, which was like the 1.5 generation or something. Like it wasn't like the first like little white thing or anything, but. I have not been motivated to get the Wii U because there's just nothing. Part of me is just more angry because it was Nintendo like playing catch up. Yeah. Because it was just like, oh right, we put out a console that couldn't do HD, and everyone else could. The Wii. The Wii's not HD.
What?
Yeah, no, Wii's not HD. It was funny. I had
well, because why? Because Nintendo used to be like
because
the console.
Remember, Wii came out before the 360 and the PlayStation 3.
It did, yeah.
But it wasn't that far before. Like, I feel like if they had maybe waited 6 months and kept...
Because compared to, like, PS4, right? How is the graphics on the newest Wii?
Not too far off.
Really?
No, they're not that bad. The PS4 and the Xbox One are, like, just mothers when it comes to actually, like, power. And, like, they can run, like, these, like, big, like, huge games. But when it comes to actual pretty... Like, Nintendo's Wii U can actually keep up
but like,
for
as
the
far
most
as
part.
Specs go, like, is it pretty far behind yet?
Well, I mean, like...
I would say, yeah.
Yeah, people don't buy Nintendo for the specs. They buy it for the games.
Yeah.
But I mean, they used to. Like, Nintendo 64 was, like, amazing.
Even the GameCube. The GameCube was keeping up pretty well with the original Xbox
the GameCube
at first.
was where it fell apart, though. Because the GameCube, it was a cube, and it looked like a child's play toy. And that's
how we treated it.
And it didn't look like a professional gaming unit. Like, the Xbox looked cool. The PlayStation 2 was ugly as sin, but it was cool. And then the GameCube was
purple.
Yeah. It's just like...
No, I got the silver one.
and it just seemed like games weren't really being developed for it even. Like, it felt like Nintendo was developing its games, and it was just like... It's like, dudes, what happened?
Well, again, that's what Nintendo is. You buy it for Mario, you buy it for Zelda, Pokemon,
Yeah. But I just kind of wished that... Because, like, Nintendo 64... was what you had to have.
Yeah,
like,
that was the thing you had no matter what.
Because, like, Sony's PlayStation was like, you got a PlayStation.
Although... I would... Before you say that, there's a lot of people that are, like, diehard PS1 fans,
although,
too,
did you know that some of the first Sony PlayStations that shipped had, like, an amazing soundboard in them? And people have hacked them and used them to play music through because supposedly it's,
they're
like,
just really good.
And so you can, like... there's a very rare amount of them, but some PlayStation 1s are worth like $1,000 because people want to play music.
Like the original run of them has soundboards in them.
Because the soundboard is just amazing in it, I guess. It's like
it was just interesting to see, like, because I try to get the like, you know, everyone gets their, like, there's some people who get all the Madden games or something. Like, every year they get the new one. Like, I usually get the new wrestling ones. And I had the wrestling one from 2010 on my 360. And then my parents, for like a birthday or something, they got me the same game, but it was for the Wii. So I was like, okay, well, I'm curious.
Right.
So I grabbed the thing and I throw it in the, like, we had like a family Wii, and I put it in there and I start loading it up, and it was just so horrible to look at. It was just atrocious because it's trying to take, because that was one of those things where when you have like a developer, I think it was THQ at the time, who's way out of business now, but
Right.
they, I mean, you basically take this game and you create it for the best possible scenario, which is your PS3, Xbox 360, high graphics, and then you work down.
Yeah.
So then you go for the Wii, and you're like, well, we can't handle any of that shit, so we'll take that, and we'll lower, and now you have these pixely blobs all touching each other, and it's just a big mess.
So there was this computer game that came out, and I think you might know about this. There's a computer game that came out, and the graphics on it were like, they were pretty good. And then somebody went through and like found some configuration files and reconfigured it and made it look like 100 times better, and started using, like, because they used a game engine that he knew about.
Yeah.
So he started, configuring it so that it would use these like tools that were programmed for but not like being used.
Yeah, I forget I forget what game. Yeah, during in the demo and the E3 or whatever, like this game looked astonishing,
Right.
gorgeous, and the actual game came out and people were like, "Yeah, this is kind of disappointing actually." And then somebody went in and was like, "Oh, here's all these settings." It brings it back up to that.
And so they're thinking that what the company was planning, possibly, this is a little conspiracy bacon, but they were thinking that possibly what the company was planning was to re-release the game. And then have like an update that you paid $50 for, and it added some extra content, and it made it look way better.
Yeah.
And so they were thinking maybe that's what was going on, and then this hack came out that made it look pretty, and they're like, "Oh shit, nope."
Like, oh yeah, we just forgot to check that box.
Yeah.
Our bad.
I can't.
Here's a patch. It's free.
I can't remember what game it was for,
yeah.
but
that's one of those things, like, because Minecraft's, I mean, think about Minecraft. It's got that, like 16, 8-bit look to it kind of thing. But, like, then you have people who come in with mods and shaders and resource packs that make it look beautiful. Like, there's one of those shader packs puts, like, just dynamic lighting and shadows, and, like, there's a breeze on the trees and everything.
But like, the ugliness of Minecraft is kind of one of the points of the game.
Yeah.
It's supposed to look...
It's never come out and been like, we're going to compete with Call of Duty 9
no,
or anything like that.
And they want everything to be square.
Yeah, but I mean, like, even as simple as it looks, it takes a lot of processing power.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
like, you can't just run it on us.
Yeah, no, because like I remember the first time that I tried installing like a really big, pretty mod pack.
Yeah.
And like the computer was just
no. Why'd you do this to me?
Yeah, and I was like, oh damn, I guess my awesome computer can handle this.
Although I've been playing on the new 1.8 Minecraft patch the last 3 or 4 days. It came out on Tuesday, and today's Saturday. And it is, oh god, it's so much nicer. My computer just runs it like a
everyone
champ.
onto the server?
No.
Okay.
No. If you would like to play at our server, leave a message in the comments or something, and then we'll see if you're not a douchebag. But
the IP is
the IP is suck my knob.
Oh, that's a good IP.
Yeah. No, it runs just immensely smoother. And that, again, we had talked about this before, is that they went back to the first line of code and started optimizing and stuff. So
yeah, because I ran it on my laptop, and my laptop is one of those ultra thin books.
Yeah,
like
so it's not super beefy.
Yeah, I mean, I think it has like 4 gigs of RAM in it, and it's just kind of like, it does what I need it to do.
Yeah.
I use it mostly for coding, so I don't need much. But anyway, and it ran very smooth on that.
Yeah, well, the server right now is sitting on my iMac, and it's got 3 gigs of RAM allocated for the whole thing. And I remember we stress tested it a little bit and had like 3 people on, and just no issues at all.
Huh. I wonder if they did make it multi-threaded then.
I don't know.
I kind of
honestly
doubt it.
Still don't know. I kind of doubt it too.
Because that, did you know Minecraft isn't multi-threaded?
I did not know that.
It all runs on one core. So that's what's limiting Minecraft servers from having like 3,000 people all on at once. Because you can't run 3,000 people all on one core.
It would melt.
So an Intel chip would be better to run Minecraft than AMD? Because AMD, from what I understand, Intel has less but more powerful cores. AMD has a lot more cores but less powerful.
It really
I would think in
depends.
theory, I mean, if
Because
that's...
like they both Intel and AMD, I don't know, I haven't really kept up with them. So I mean that might be kind of more of their motto, is AMD might be more cores and, but yeah, like what a dual core like 3.8 if that exists processor will probably be really good to run a Minecraft server on. Because then...
They already have processors that are pushing 4.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, if you overclock them, they're going up there.
Huh. Well, because then you have one good, you have one really good core for like, the system itself, and then you have one good core for Minecraft.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that would be the way to do it. And then just tons of RAM.
Yeah.
Because Minecraft is a beast, and it likes RAM. Well, I don't know about now.
Well, because, yeah, like I said, it's like the server itself, I have like 3 gigs allocated for it.
Because I know when we were running it...
but that's just because the computer itself only has 4.
Right.
So it's just like that's all I have to work with right now. But
because when we were running it on my server, I had 16 gigs of RAM. And I would push it all the way up to...
now you're talking about our modded server or our old vanilla one?
Our old vanilla one.
Because that one ran pretty good for the most part. I feel
Right.
like we were getting more
every
bottlenecking because of the internet.
Every once in a while we would get like, can't keep up, blah, blah,
Well,
blah.
we were also running a friggin', it was a bucket server that was running like 1.7.2 or 1.6.4 maybe. And, and that version specifically of Minecraft,
And
like
I know,
it had all these lovely things and it was easy to mod.
But it had some leaks in it.
But it was just, it was just a drain on.
Because
like, all that.
there was a lot of memory that was made and just never let go.
Yeah.
So I wonder, I'm not sure, but it seemed like I had to restart that thing like once every couple days.
Yeah, like, and especially the modded server, I swear it was worse, because that's just so...
Right, and sometimes I would actually
stressful.
have to, like, pull up top and manually kill it, and then, like, manually free memory.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it really ate down on stuff, I know.
Well, because when we had the modded server, too, we had... Gosh, what was it? Because we actually had it stored online for a while, and then we actually had some of the hard drive space we had allocated. Didn't you take some of that and, like, turn it into RAM? Like some of the hard drive space that was there?
Oh, yeah. Well, because on DigitalOcean, which is where we were hosting our stuff, they use SSDs, which are pretty quick.
Yeah.
It's not going to be as fast as, like, native RAM, but they're pretty quick. So I created a swap file, which the Linux kernel will then take that swap file, and if it runs out of native RAM, it'll start using that swap file to fill that with values. The problem with doing that is it does slow you down a little bit, just because it's harder to read from a hard drive than from RAM. But I think, I made like, because we had 2 gigs of RAM on that server. And
That
then
was 4.
It might be 4.
I think it was
okay,
4.
So I think we had 4, and then I made a 4 gig swap file. So then we had 8 technical sort of gigs. So we had 4 good and 4 like we use this when we need to. And I think we were always 2 gigs into the swap file.
All the time.
Yeah. So we were using up those SSDs pretty heavily.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean it worked pretty well. So
I was running pretty good. I mean, like, occasionally we actually had more people playing on that one too, because my brother had some of his friends on. Just because it was a modded server that was actually running fairly well and stuff. So they're like, well, we'll actually play on someone's server that works. And, so we had like we had 8 people on one night and stuff, and it was like, poor swap file, getting ruined. But yeah, like with the new optimization, I mean, vanilla Minecraft is running like gorgeous. So
yeah, I wonder if you could run that then on a just kind of a dinkier server now, because I wonder how much. Because it's still got to do a lot of processing.
Yeah.
But I wonder if they could...
I would say that it's probably, like, you probably need less of a server to run 1.8 than 1.7.4, probably.
I wonder how much...
Which was the last big one.
Processing... Like, it's surprising... Like, I don't know, I'm not a game developer, so I can't really say, but you'd think that the server itself wouldn't have to take too much on, and they could make the each
Like the client side
client itself do it. But then again, they like the world is built based on a seed, and that seed uses a random number generator. And so that random number generator would generate a different number on every single computer. So, but if you put in a seed, isn't it always going to calculate out to the same world?
If you get like a certain seed number, yeah, if you plug that in, it's the exact
So that
same
means that
thing.
each client itself could render the world in on its own and then just give you the blocks that have been changed from the server.
It could, but I feel like that's almost
But
like...
and I wonder if that is how it does it, because that would be a lot of data to send over the network.
Maybe.
I don't know. We're
I
getting a
feel
little
like
too deep.
I feel like that'd be kind of hard to do, like,
But I mean,
real time, though, almost.
no, I bet you that's how they do it. Because could you imagine if every single block had to be told where it was and all that from the server? That would be a lot of network.
That's true.
So I would bet that it only sends you blocks that have been modified.
That's possible. Because, yeah, it is like, because if I have one seed and you have one seed and we playing, like, we both have the same seed and we're just playing different games, like, it's going to be identical, like,
Right.
so
It should be identical.
it should be. It's supposed
So
to be.
unlike the real world where there are quantum
Yes.
fluctuations.
Right.
And now that we've come full circle.
Yes. And that's our podcast.
Hey!
There we go. Thanks for... Actually, with quantum mechanics, technically, shouldn't it be possible then that it doesn't work?
Yeah, but we haven't reached quantum computing yet.
This is true. All right. So,
But
that's
Miiiinecraft
the show.
has, because there's this mod called QCraft, which there are schools using it to try and teach the concepts of quantum mechanics,
Yeah, that's
people.
cool. That is
which
cool.
is amazing. Like,
It was created by Google, wasn't it?
I don't remember. I think Google backed it.
Yeah.
It was some
they either
company,
backed
and
it or
Google
they...
was like, "This is amazing."
Yeah, and then...
Because that was one of the mods in the big mod pack we did, and I started messing with it, and I was just like, nope. And it was like this thing, like, you could create these blocks that, like, it's simple stuff, like, depending on what direction you're looking at the block, it's going to look like a different thing or
Right,
something.
yeah.
But, like, the stuff behind it, and to get more in-depth into it was just this... No. It was so over my head, and I was like, I feel like I need a degree in something much more important than what mine was. So...
Yeah, my little sister's using. They're second grade, I think. They're using Plants vs Zombies to teach them programming, or to teach
awesome.
them, like
Really?
if then,
Yeah.
like just kind of paths of chain commands and.
Interesting.
Yeah,
That's-
I mean it's like a mod. It's not like just regular Plants versus
Right,
Zombies.
yeah.
They have to like follow a path, plant a certain thing. If
Sure,
then.
yeah.
It's still a cool
statements
way to
and-
keep kids interested,
Yeah,
though.
yeah, it's really neat.
Well, and like logic is a really good thing to teach people, like just basic if then else kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Second
That's-
grade. I mean, like that's great.
Yeah,
like-
no, yeah, that because I mean that really, I know that learning how to program changed the way that I think on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I'm much better at breaking big complicated things down into multiple small uncomplicated things now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wasn't good at that before, but now I am. So I don't know. Like learning how to program is a good thing, even if you're not going to be programming in the
Yeah.
future.
Opens up your mind.
It does. Do, 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 do.
The more you know. All right.
All
I
right.
think we can call it there.